All right, everyone, welcome back to the Renowned Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Morris, and I'm so excited for the show we have lined up for you today. But before we get started, I want to share that if you're ready to fast track your career and achieve extraordinary success, I have a program that will ignite your potential and propel you to new heights. As a high-level executive coach, I specialize in empowering leaders like you to unleash your full potential and excel in your career. Whether you're seeking a rapid advancement in your current career or a seamless transition to a new industry, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Imagine having a trusted advisor who understands your unique challenges and provides you with a proven roadmap for success. Together, we'll work from your strengths, overcome obstacles, and position you as a magnetic force in the professional world. Now is the time to break free from the limitations holding you back and step into the extraordinary career you deserve. Don't settle for mediocrity when greatness is within your reach. So claim your spot. It all starts with a complimentary session. Just go to renownedleadership.com and click the Book Now button or click the link in the podcast description below. Accelerate your career, embrace your true potential, and become the influential leader you were destined to be. Remember, success favors those who take decisive action. Seize this opportunity and join the ranks of the high-achieving executives who are making waves in their industry. With all that being said, I'm excited to introduce you to today's guest. Today, I'm being joined by a very special guest, Dr. Anna Titkova. She hails all the way from Poland. She's a Ukrainian citizen who has been drastically affected by the war going on in Ukraine right now. Her and her entire family had to flee the country, eventually ending up in Warsaw, Poland. It's a horrible, horrible story, but very inspiring how her and her family are overcoming the obstacles. And even bigger than that, Dr. Anna started a business in the middle of the pandemic, literally just a couple of days after the pandemic became announced worldwide. She got her official license to start her business, and she built it all the way through the pandemic and really focused her research on helping build the vaccines to help with COVID-19. Dr. Anna is an inspiring figure, and she definitely inspires me, and I hope she's going to inspire you guys. And I can't wait for you guys to hear her story. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dr. Anna Titkova. Okay, Dr. Anna. So I really want to know, and this is a little bit different than how I normally start a show, but I just want to know, you say being on my show, which this is not anywhere close to the case. My audience isn't near this big, but say you're on my show and you have the entire world listening to you right now. What's the message that you would send to the world?
Maybe I would like to say in another way, but unfortunately, the situation that is happening in my country requires all of us, all Ukrainians, to speak in another way to the whole world. We really need this support. We really need this understanding of people around us, that they understand our grief. They understand our situation. They want to help us and to help at the end the good to win this evil. And you know that the country as Ukraine, that the world couldn't even never find on its map, has now turned the world's idea of what a country should be. And I want this situation to stay in such a way that the world will still understand and follow this direction, how the country should be, what principles, what ideas, what should be on the top of each population, on the top of our world and of our life, that in any case, evil cannot come inside the independent country cannot kill people, cannot injure children, cannot destroy lives of everyone, destroy infrastructure, destroy everything what was built by hundreds of years by the previous generation on the same territory. And that's why I want to only to send this message that what is now shown by our country, by our warriors, by our soldiers, by all the common peoples, civil population in general, that this is what a country should be. This should remains and only followed by the prosperous future of our country and each other country in the world if it will be in such a situation as we are now.
That's actually pretty it's pretty deep because I remember in the United States, September 11th, 2001, when the United States was attacked. Our country had never been more united. We didn't, all of a sudden it didn't matter what your political beliefs were, your religious beliefs, none of that mattered at all. All that mattered was that we protect our country and we protect each other. And then you fast forward 20 years, and now all of a sudden our country is more divided than it's ever been. And we can't agree on anything. It's almost chaos here. And I absolutely love what you said we need to get to a place where we always remember that lesson. We forget so fast and we forget so easy that at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters, right? We're all humans, and this nonsense needs to end.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And this unity of the whole world, the unity of our Ukrainian nation, the unity of people around the world around this Ukrainian nationality, and this is very important. And maybe thanks to this, all of us, all Ukrainians, have this will, have the strength, energy to continue to fight, not to give up, and at the end to come to this victory, to come to this end of this horror, and to receive the victory at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for my household and for many others here in the United States, and I'm sure around the world, you have the full support of us. And my wife is Ukrainian. She lived in Ukraine till I want to say she was 22, I think. And her father is currently still in Ukraine, and he lives in Kiev, and it's insane. And I think I'll always remember when the war started. And my take on war is a lot pretty different than most people's, because I'm a soldier, and that's my background. I've I've fought pretty much since I was 18 years old in wars. So my take on war is a little bit different than most people's, but I'll never forget her reaction to when Russia invaded Ukraine, because she couldn't understand it. Because to her, Russia, Russian people were her brothers and sisters. Like, there's really no difference between, you have Russians and you have Ukrainians, yes, but you all speak the same language. You're border. It's like the United States and Canada. It's just Canada is just an extension of the United States to most of us, and that's the way it was to her. Russia was just an extended part of Ukraine. It was a different country, yes, but it really wasn't that different, and she couldn't understand the just the mindset of what it takes to just violently attack your neighbor like that. So I totally understand what you're saying, and it's a very powerful message, and I thank you so much for sharing. And Ukraine will remain. I can't speak for everybody, but it'll definitely remain in the vast majority of our thoughts and prayers, and we will continue to support you every way that we can.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So, Dr. Anna, to all the listeners, obviously Dr. Anna is from Ukraine, if you couldn't tell by her accent. and she's also a doctor. That's why I call her a doctor. So, Dr. Anna, I would like to dive a little bit into your early childhood because, like you said in the beginning, most people couldn't even find Ukraine on a map here in the United States. And certainly most people just kind of thought, when they would hear Ukraine, they're like, oh, yeah, that's a city in Russia or something like that. Most people didn't even know its own country. So what was your childhood like? What is it like growing up in Ukraine?
Yeah, I can even add to this your sentence that people sometimes were asking me because I have active scientific activities, but I will tell about this a little bit later. And I was presented on different conferences, and they were asking, where is Ukraine? Is it Asia? Is it Africa? Or where is it? At least at what continent are you from? What continent are you from? Really, I also heard such questions as well during some of these my meetings with international colleagues before and now. Yes, you said that people can even show on the map the cities and villages of Ukraine. Maybe some of them can know them better than some Ukrainians at the end, because everyone see this regularly on their TV. Unfortunately, with under such an awful situation, and we receive this recognition. But yeah, this is what the
Right.
reality of it is. And yeah, my childhood, I was born in Kharkiv, the city, one of the nearest cities to our neighbors, 60 kilometers from the Russian border, and with Russian-speaking population there, and all of our many relatives, friends, they were now live in Russia, in this part of Russia near our city and our region. But yeah, unfortunately, this is what we have now. But maybe in connection of my childhood with my future career, with my field of medicine, which I started to learn before. I had this childhood dream to become a doctor. I don't know why, from where it started, but it was my childhood dream, an exact dream that I need to help people in their diseases, in their sufferings, and to find something that may help them to become more healthy in the end. So this was my exact goals of my life, let's say, from childhood. I finished the school, I entered medical university. I was working as a cleaner at the hospital, then as a nurse at the hospital, combining with medical education, because I was so willing and thrilling to start this more closer cooperation with doctors, with patients, to see how it works, how you can help, what you can do, how it is organized inside. So after all of these steps, I finished medical university. At the same time, I started my scientific career because I had some scientific approaches in medical university, and then it was few steps of receiving PhD degree, then professor title in the medical academy in Kharkiv. So it was in parallel with some with clinical part of my life as well. And at the end, I received cardiology specialization. So I'm a doctor cardiologist, PhD, professor at medical academy at the same time. During this my work in medicine and in scientific researches, I spent a lot of time in clinical research, clinical trials field. This is the part of pharma and medical business where the drugs past this way of before they appear on the shelves of drugstores all around the world. And for me, it was a good place where I can combine this my scientific knowledges, because it's also the scientific approach and steps of creation of a new drug, and clinical research, because on this part of clinical researches we cooperate exactly with patients, with doctors, and with workers of medical institutions. And that's why in 2020, maybe it was some coincidence, I don't know, or maybe it should be in such a way, I started this activity in creation of medical center that was and is still at the research site for clinical trials. So we perform in parallel clinical trials and private visits, like a private medical center. And it was started in 2020, exactly when the COVID pandemic was announced. On the 20th of March, it was announced all around the world. And the 27th of March, I had an appointment with our notary to register company on the territory of Ukraine. So yeah, and then to follow the steps, to follow these goals, I started the business in Ukraine.
Wow, that's crazy. So, we'll get. I want to dive deeper into some of that a little bit later, but I'm interested to know because I've never actually, in all my travels, I've never actually asked this question. Um, what? So I know here in the United States, roughly what our doctors go through to get their PhDs and get, earn their title as doctor or surgeon or whatever the case may be. But and here in the United States, it's pretty intense. What is the educational journey like for a Ukrainian to become a doctor? Is it pretty crazy?
Yeah, it's one of the most difficult ones in Ukraine as well, if compared with other specializations or qualifications that you can achieve. So first of all, you need to enter medical university and to study for 6 years. After these 6 years, you need to pass 2 exams. I know that you have the same ones in the US as well, that confirmed your knowledges, and if you do not pass them, you're not receiving your diploma in the end. So they're very important. The whole country is writing on the same day and the same time, so very anonymously performing all of these tests that you receive. So a huge database of hundreds, thousands questions of tests that you need to look through, to learn somehow, to be prepared for this test. So very important steps. And we have like 3 steps after the 3rd course of the university, after the 6th course of the university, and then after your residence. This residence, it starts after 6 years of education. So you need to go to some hospital and in parallel work as an internship, like an intern doctor, and just having some theoretical classes in parallel as well. It depends, the timelines of this residence depends on your specialization. If you want therapeutic area, it's 2 years. If surgery, gynecology, it's 3 years. So at the end, after this 8 or 9 years of education, you need to pass the 3rd exam, and after completion, you receive a diploma that you are MD of exact specialization, for example, internal diseases, or surgery, or gynecology, and that's all. After that, you can work as if we're speaking now about these therapeutic areas, as I passed in my life, I received the diploma of internal disease doctor. And if you want to have some other specialization like cardiology, endocrinology, gastroenterology, you need to go through another years of education and to pass another qualification and receive this diploma, for example, as I received in cardiology. In parallel there, I performed my scientific activities, and being in a residence, I was on a master program in medicine. So it's another parallel activity when you need to write like a thesis, not a PhD, a little bit simpler one, but also a separate activity to receive a master degree in medicine. I don't know whether you have the same in the US, but in Ukraine, it was not for each person. Only after receiving with honors your diploma from medical university, only having it, you are allowed to have this competition and to gain 1 or 2 places in the whole city for this master degree in medicine after finishing the medical university. And I passed it, and I received in parallel with my residence, internal disease doctor, master degree in medicine during this period of time. And after that, if you also, you can after that work as a practical doctor, internal disease doctor, or receiving the specialization somewhere in the hospital, outpatient department, or you may continue your scientific approach and in parallel to defend your PhD degree, for example, and to work in some scientific institutions, in medical universities, medical academies as a senior researcher or some lecturer, lecture maybe mostly, or research in medical higher educational institutions or research institutions. For this, you need to defend your PhD degree. This is for 4 or 5 years. It was done by me for 5 years. In fact, after all of these steps before, I defend my PhD degree, and after that, only after 3 years of I received assistant professor title. And if you want to receive professor's title official from the Ministry of Health of Ukraine, you need to fulfill some other obligations, some articles, publications, some B2 level in English, some conferences, books, writing of the books, and so on, that you after that, only after completing all the list of these requirements, you can receive a scientific title as well. So yeah, I'm an author of more than 120 scientific publications in medical journals. I'm an independent reviewer of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine journal. I have patents on inventions, a monograph published in Germany. So a lot of all of these activities that were performed by me to gain this scientific title as well.
Holy crap. That's insane. So this was almost a 15-year journey.
Yeah, yes.
Wow. That's insane. You talk about being in the game for the long haul, for the long win. Man, that's nuts. Most people can't even plan the next 4 years of their life, let alone the next 15. So how many languages do you speak?
Russian, Ukrainian, English, now Polish, and a little bit German.
Okay. So man, that's insane. I just asked because you were talking about having something published in Germany, so I didn't know if you published it in English or
In
in.
English,
Okay, gotcha. Man, I don't even know where to go from there. That blows my mind. So you've literally been training. So do you graduate high school? I don't know what you call it in Ukraine, but do you your preparatory school, as a
Secondary.
teenager?
Yeah,
Okay, do
secondary.
you secondary school? Okay, so do you graduate that? How old were you when you graduated from that?
17.
17? So similar to the United States. Man, so for the next decade and a half, man, I couldn't imagine. You doctors are incredible because, and I know the process is similar to here in the United States, with your thesis and all that stuff, but I don't even know how they get into medical research. But so fast forward through all of that, right? You were talking about the pandemic. How did the pandemic change your role, in your life, in your career? Did it, like, COVID-19 happen and then just all of a sudden your focus shift, or were you already kind of in line to handle COVID-19 as it came?
The COVID-19, it was not in my schedule and plans of my life in general. That's why I was not focused on these obstacles that appears during this period of time. One step back, before speaking about the 2020, in 2019, I got acquainted with people from Site Management Organization. There's a company that operate in the market of clinical researchers, let's say, and they proposed me to become country head of their part in Ukraine. It was a greenfield business without any acquisitions on that period of time. So to create their affiliated company, like an independent company on the territory of Ukraine. And this was all the arrangements done before this COVID during the 2019. And that's why we agreed on all of the steps. So that's why I had on the 27th of March, my appointment with the notary where I need to go and to do all these final procedures of registration. And of course, when the COVID pandemic was announced, it was blocked all the ways, any transport in each city all around the world, I believe, as well. And it was also for me like to organize this notary meeting because they couldn't allow more than 2 people sitting in one room, and it was not allowed by some lawyer procedures to be only 2 of people to sign these documents. It was also such a weird and now maybe funny procedures, but not at 2020, how we were trying to organize all of these activities to arrange all the people, but at the same time being in line with all the sanitary requirements according to the number of people in the square meter in one place to sign the documents. And finally we did it as it should be on the 27th of March. I received 2 papers, A4 papers of registration of the companies and nothing more. And from this period, from this day, I don't know what was inside me happiness that finally we achieved this, or even of this 1 week of crazy COVID first week, or what to do after. The papers were in my hands, but what to do the next morning, waking up. With this COVID situation and creation of the new companies. But yeah, for me, the understanding of how you should run business, maybe how you should achieve something in your life, it consists of maybe few main steps that you shouldn't be always in the comfort zone, because life is managed in such a way that it will not allow you in any case to be in this comfort zone forever. That's why you need to understand that, okay, if it is today at 7 p.m. you have this comfort zone, it doesn't mean that it's 7:05 you will have the same comfort zone as well. So adapt yourself, trying to find the solutions and to go straight to your goals and for tomorrow or to next month that you should have at the end. And for me, I don't understand this world that I can't do something, for example. Yeah, this learned helplessness, sometimes it appears in our life. Of course, we have doubts. I have also some doubts about what I'm doing, whether it's good or not. But it shouldn't be like I can't do it at all. So I can do it, but maybe in another way, with another approach, from another angle. But not that I can't do it at all. So this helplessness, it's not for my attitude to life and to everything what I was doing previously, even with this my scientific activities, medical education and so on. That's why when I registered 2 companies, it was 2 companies. Why 2? Because we have the specific of our industry that, especially in Ukraine, it was according to some our legal requirements that you need to have a separate medical center that performs clinical visits, doctors, normally working as a medical institution, and at the same time you can combine it with clinical researches. And another entity was a pure clinical trials activity organization where I work with I need to, for that period of time, I need to create a network of sites, affiliated sites on other hospitals with whom I can work in clinical researches. That's why it was 2 parallel activities for me to be created. So, and during these 2 years, from 2020 till 2022, February 2022, for 2 years, I managed to create medical institution, refurbishment, equipment, doctors, all the sanitary requirements. They are very weird and crazy from the Soviet Union period of time. They were still in Ukraine with all of these books of requirements that you need to be in line with. And so all of this were created by me in half a year, 350 square meters. Everything was new, receiving all the documents from the Ministry of Health of Ukraine. And we opened our clinic in November 2020 and start our activities. And in the same period of time, I created a network for another company, a network of sites in 3 Ukrainian regions, in 4 Ukrainian cities, where we work with state or private hospitals just for the performance of clinical researches. And we were, I must say, that successful even for this short period of time. We achieved some good results in our studies. We gained few new studies. We started our activities. We were the world best recruiter in one study. We worked in this COVID studies because it was on the top of all clinical researches as well. You remember these vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, all of this, Janssen, all of them were running who will be the first one in their vaccination with their vaccine that will come the first on the market, some treatment procedures, options for patients. So we were participating exactly in this clinical researches and the development of some treatment activities or vaccination for patients with COVID. And we gained some good results and achieved them. But yeah, unfortunately, on the 24th of February, it was stopped at 4:45 a.m. in the morning.
Wow. So I want to go back to something you said, which is a mantra of mine as well, and that is your comfort zone. Um, I say that, you know, people that they're in their country comfort zone, they're rooted to the ground because your comfort zone is the root of not changing. And if you can't change and you can't adapt, you're going to perpetually be stuck in the same circumstances and the same situations. They'll just keep repeating themselves, and you'll never advance in your life. And I think it's inspiring and incredible that even during a time when literally everything's shut down, you still found a way to build this gigantic network and these physical structures of a place where you can help people and continue your research. Now, I think that that's incredible, and that's a very powerful mindset. So if you take nothing from this podcast, just take, you know, your comfort zone is your worst enemy. Never forget that. You always want to be outside your comfort zone. So my next question then is, um, we all know the toll COVID had on the world. You personally, how did COVID affect your mental health, your well-being, your life in general, outside of obviously, you know, having to wear a mask or all, you know, can't be too close to people, all that stuff. What side effects did you feel from COVID as a doctor?
You mean according to the medical, some complications, yeah?
Not just medical, like mental health, or just your general well-being.
Speaking about, yes, some outcomes, let's say, of the COVID pandemic. Firstly, on the first steps, first months, maybe even the first year, we saw this influence on lung function, on the cardiac system. So all of this, because especially people who were in a bad condition, who were in intensive care units, they struggled a lot after even normalization of the saturation, oxygen saturation of the blood, to manage their organism to work normally as it was before. And it has a lot of complications on the, let's say, internal condition of the person of each of the system of the body of these people. But more long-lasting effects, they were of course mostly on this mental condition, on the depression part of, because it was mostly caused some depressions, and there were even cases, they were not mentioned by the scientists about suicide attempts of people after COVID. And I personally know a few families whose very young men after COVID, they made the suicides. Being at home, they were good professionals, people with good income, everything, good families, but at the end, they finished their life in such a way. So it's not some imagination or story just created to frighten someone. It's a real situation that people were struggling with this depression disorders after COVID disease when they pass it. So yeah, but now, for example, if to compare, maybe because not everyone is focused on COVID, we haven't got a lot of researchers now in COVID because it's not something that is on top. Maybe that's why we haven't got such a big tracker of these people. It would be good perhaps to have such a survey maybe of people after this illness who suffered from COVID, maybe of severe COVID in 2020, 2021. But unfortunately, we haven't got such maybe direction now to investigating this. So it would be interesting to see how these people continue their life. Do they have some complications? Do they have some something that happens, with their mental health, with their physical strength, after a few years of COVID. But now we haven't got such researches, but it would be interesting to know about them.
But I mean, that makes sense though, the depression and stuff that comes along that came along with COVID because you're isolated, right? And I mean, it's scientifically proven that we need human interaction, right? We need to be around other human beings, right? So, I mean, it makes sense that being isolated and separated literally from everyone, that you would suffer pretty heavy mental effects. Does that not make sense? Am I off on that thought?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was also one of the part, let's say, that influence on the result, the outcomes of COVID disease.
Right. Okay. So starting, so you start your company, you're in the process, you're almost done starting your company, and then COVID happens. I think you said COVID happened or was officially announced March 20th, and then your company became legal
In
March
1 week.
27th. So
Yeah,
7 days. March 27th is my birthday, actually. So,
Oh,
um, so during that 7 days, did you have any thought that you needed to stop what you were doing? Like it was the wrong time to start this company or go out on your own entrepreneurial adventure? Were you like, oh, let's put the brakes on?
yeah, maybe to add some personal information to this story, that I haven't got time for these 7 days because during this period of time I was in Norway. I have some vacation and I stuck in Norway as exactly on the 20th of March when the all flights were cancelled. That's why for me the main was somehow to reach my home, to reach Ukraine with cancellation of all the flights. That's why, and all the borders that each country was closing one by one each day, pronouncing in 1 2 hours before the closing that in 2 hours the border of the country will be closed. And I was I was with my friend there in Norway, and we were in the middle of Norway because we had this trip to see the fjords, and we exactly on the 20th of March we were in the middle of the Norway, not even in Oslo or Bergen, somewhere with airports. It was in the middle of Norway when it was cancelled all the ships, trains, even inside Norway, not only speaking about flights. And we were trying to somehow to reach our country, buying flights by ticket. It was cancelled by one after buying a new one because it should be, for example, for the next day, and the country was announced at that period of time that it will be cancelled, and we were not in line few hours to by flight to reach it, and we received this message: your flight is cancelled, sorry very much. So for me, all of these 7 days, they were these 3 days of trying to reach Ukraine. It was through 5 countries in the end when we reached our country, and this was the maybe 24th of March when I was in Ukraine, in Kharkiv, my city. One day I had only to understand that I'm really at home, and on the next day I need to go to the notary. So that's why it was without any other variants what to do on the 27th of March.
Yeah, you just didn't have time to even think about it. You were too focused on getting home. That makes
I was so
complete
happy.
sense.
Yeah, I was so happy to be at home that I was agreed to do everything what is needed to register the company, 2 companies, 5 companies, to go somewhere else because I was agreed to everything with this happiness of finally being at home. And yeah, to understand that I managed to reach Ukraine at the end.
No, yeah, that's crazy. I've traveled all over the world, but I've never been to Norway, and I've always wanted to go see the fjords. And there's this thing they have there called extreme hammocking, where they've ran lines across the fjords, and you go out and you're suspended above the fjord in a hammock, basically just laying there looking down. I've wanted to do that for years, and one of these days I'm going to make it to Norway and actually get to go do it. But
COVID shouldn't
that's
start the next time, I believe. COVID shouldn't start the next time, I believe. So you may go there.
I have plans, right? So when it came to starting your own business, what kind of fears, and this is before COVID happened, like when you were making the decision, like I'm going to start this company, what kind of fears did you have, and how did you overcome them? Because as an entrepreneur, I know like starting your own business is probably one of the scariest things I've ever done, because you know, are you going to win, are you going to fail, like what's it going to cost you, like there are just so many unanswered questions. It's very, it was, at least for me, it was very scary. So did you experience that kind of fear, and if so, what were your fears?
Maybe my main fear, and maybe the only one, honestly saying, was that I wouldn't be able to find people who will be around me, who will understand our mission, who will understand what we are doing and support me in all of these dealings. Because honestly saying that I haven't got anyone, like a team of people, likewise thinking, yeah, like-minded people, thinking people. And for me, it was difficult to understand how it is possible to find them from the street, yeah? To find these people who in the end will bring the same values to your company. I was always uh, confident in my forces, in my activities, in my enthusiasm, that I will manage it. But you cannot do this alone. You are not alone in this world, and you need people around you. And yeah, there is a very good saying that you are the average of five people with whom you are spending the most time with. So, and it's really important because they influence on you. Our work is the most of our daytime, where we spend most of our spare time, let's say, yeah, of lifetime. And these people who will be with you, they will influence in any case, not even on the results of your work, but on you personally. And for me, this was the main fear, that I will not manage to find these people and to organize them around me so that we can push this activity, this business into the direction and vision of my vision, of our company vision, how it should be. And yeah, and maybe it's the not one moment, one day fear. It's during the whole managing of the business, you have this fear that people will not continue your mission, that they will go away and you will not find the replacement if there's good employees and good workers, and you will not find this replacement for them who will continue this business with you, who will be honest. Yeah, there are also one of the, I don't remember who was saying this, that you need to find three main features of your employees: intelligence, energy, and honesty. So if they haven't got the last one, the first two, they do not make any sense. So that's why this honesty to the business that they are doing, honesty for the work that they are doing, and this will in any case bring this responsibility, the responsibility of their activities, of their actions, and yeah, only in such a way it's possible to build it. And I'm lucky that I managed to have these people, and this was really people from interviews, from internet, some of their CVs that I gathered and making these interviews, finding them. But at the end, all of them for these 2 years were with us, were with our company. No one from them didn't leave. And even now I have a chat speaking with my employees all together. I had recently my birthday. They also congratulate me even now after this 1 year of this remote living, of our living here. But and all of them are waiting to return back and waiting to return back to our clinic as well. So for me, this is the main recognition perhaps of my activity that we've done before. If all of them, they still want to return exactly to our place of work.
So even with the war happening in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine right now, your company is still operating correct? It's still doing its research. It's just doing it remotely now.
Yeah, we stopped our private visits, so our clinic doesn't perform any private visits like a medical institution. Our inpatient department becomes a place for living of some of our employees whose houses were bombed during the first months of war. That's why we made such a decision to give them this place where they can live if they need. But clinical research. Yeah, but clinical researches we continue to perform, and we are in line with all our patients who were in ongoing studies. But now in Ukraine, all activities are stopped in clinical researches. We haven't got new ones. All sponsors and big pharma, they are afraid of the situation, of the security of the data that they can receive, and they do not allow it to enroll new patients into clinical research. Is only a few of them, but it's not like before. And that's why we continue only ongoing visits according to the protocol, according to the schedule of their visits. And I might tell, for example, like an example, in one of our clinical research, patients should fill diaries, some smartphones on which they are making once or 2 times per day some assumption of their physical condition. And after finishing 1 year of their being clinical research, we received the data from sponsor at the end of 2022 that the compliance of filling this questionnaire was 95%. So patients sitting in the bomb shelters, being on this lockdown without electricity, they continue to fill in these diaries, put in this scale estimation of their health 1-2 times per day according to the protocol, because they were interested to receive medication. We also manage this transportation of the medicine to our patients, receive it from sponsors, from CROs, from depots in Ukraine. So all of these activities, they were organized by our staff, by me, and we continue because our people, they need this medicine. And also maybe like one of the message that from which we started today, that patients in Ukraine, they need clinical researches even more than before, because we have lack of medication, we have lack of drugs on the Ukrainian market. Not each person can afford to buy, even to go to the drugstore and buy it. That's why clinical researches for them now, it's an option to receive first treatment and then secondly medical care, diagnosis, examination for free.
Wow. So what can Americans do? How can, if you had one request, one way that people could help you, what would that be? Donating money, donating, to another company to that can provide you with medication?
Yeah, I know that there are a lot of missions, there are a lot of donations for in medical field, in pharma. I know that big pharma companies, they also have these free drugs for patients inside Ukraine that were typically, for example, on the market for sale. But it's not enough in general. So in any case, we need more. We need this part of normality, of a normal life that we had before in other countries has. And like a message, maybe not to consider Ukraine as a black spot on the map of our world. So this is a functioning country. The country with people, okay, with less a number of these people, but in any case with people inside the country, people who require help, who require medical help. Because I'm a medical professional, I can speak only from this point of medical care for people. They require this medical support, drugs, examinations, and we're not asking even sometimes for something free, yes, just donate. We agreed to work, our researchers, even to speak about this clinical researchers from where I am now. So our staff, our people, they are open to work. They do not ask for money for nothing. They are open to work. They are open to perform clinical researches, to perform their duties and to receive money for their work, not for free, for nothing to be doing. That's why, yeah, maybe just to consider that in Ukraine we have life, we have alive people who requires more than before medical support and medical treatment, and maybe to consider in some way that we may try something to start, to continue, yeah? Because it was before. Ukraine was one of the best countries with the high speed of recruitment, with good quality of data, with big number of medical professionals and clinical researchers. And it didn't disappear with the 24th of February. It's still inside the country. And all of the people, our research staff, medical professionals, patients, they need this hope and understanding that at the end of this tunnel, we will have this light, at least to start some activities, to show that it will come. Okay, just we need to wait, or something will come soon, but not as sometimes we have this empty, a full empty without any information, without any desire to discuss our future, without any understanding what this future will be, because this future will be also together with the help of the whole world, not only now during the war, as we spoke with you before, that yeah, you support us, you helped us, but we need the same after our victory, and this should come with some understanding of people that okay, let's wait, but it will come, but not as it's the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a fairly decent Ukrainian following, if you will, because of my wife. So what message would you send out to your fellow Ukrainians that hear this podcast to keep them motivated, to keep their spirits up?
Can you please repeat your question?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a pretty decent a Ukrainian following because of my wife. They follow me just because of her. What message would you have for them to keep their spirits up, to keep their hopes alive, that Ukraine is going to be victorious? What would you say to them?
You mean for Ukrainians?
Mm-hmm.
You mean for Ukrainians now? Well, the world showed that we're not alone. The Ukrainians showed that we can struggle and we can achieve results. We haven't got this variant that we can't do something. We need to. It's difficult. Sometimes it seems impossible at all to continue to struggle, even for each normal person, even not on the front line, with a simple our civil life as we had. But we shouldn't give up. We haven't got the permission to give up and to agree with the reality that we have. So once I also saw in some social media in New York, near the metro station. I don't know whether it was right, true or not, but it was written that, just 1 second, I need to remember how it was. So it was written like the phrase, previously I thought that I know what the bravery is, but then I saw Ukraine. And perhaps this is the main message. So we showed the world all the values of the human values that should exist in this world to build the prosperous countries, to build the ideal world in which we can live. So let's keep it and not to give up, and to continue to cherish it. And then in the end, it will bring us the victory. In any case, good will win evil, and yeah, the world cannot exist in another way.
Absolutely. I love that. And you know, it's amazing to me to watch such a small country stand up to one of the largest militaries in the world and say no, because Ukraine, I'm not sure of the population of Ukraine, but I mean, if you look at Ukraine on the map, it's literally barely a thumbprint compared to Russia, especially the Russian military, who is several million strong. And you know, Ukraine literally just dug their heels into the ground and said no, this isn't going to happen. And I thoroughly believe Ukraine is going to win, because you know, Russia's fighting for a goal, a purpose. They aren't fighting the infinite battle. They aren't fighting for their lives, for their very right to exist. And that's what I think the Ukrainian people have, is that they don't care. They are going to exist, or they're going to die trying. And when you take out, that goal oriented mindset and replace it with that infinite mindset, it's you become pretty much unstoppable. And something either has to kill you, or you win, because there is no in between. So I have mad respect for Ukraine, and I'm cheering you guys on, obviously, because I couldn't even cheer for the other side if I wanted to. My wife would kill me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I think that's inspirational as anything, and I love that. So what is in the future for Dr. Anna? What future endeavors are you seeing take shape once this war is over, once you're back with your clinical trials? Are you going to rebuild your company back to your original vision? Do you have a new vision for it? What's in your future?
As being an optimistic person in general, I believe that this victory will come definitely. We just need to have this patience to wait and to save what we have, not to lose. I mean, all the businesses in Ukraine, all the companies in Ukraine, and this is for me also like one of the goal, not to lose what was created before. And at the end, so this victory will come. Ukraine will be on the map for the world as the symbol of the strength, of the unity, of the patriotism, of the nation. And I believe that all the companies, and in my field, with pharma companies, clinical research companies, they will definitely come to Ukraine, and with such a support, with such a way of support for our people, with even I think that it should be like also the mission of this business, big businesses who were on the territory of Ukraine before, to return back and to show that they were able also to save their entities on the territory of Ukraine, to save their footprint on the territory of Ukraine, and they will also continue to grow. And altogether, this will bring this network of communication. In any case, you cannot work alone in any industry, so it's a networking of companies, of people around. And if everyone will have such an attitude that they need to return back, is the first item, and the second one to double, to triple what they had before the war, it will bring incredible results, because all people, I can speak from the part of medical field, of pharma, clinical research field, I believe it's in each of the part of economy part in Ukraine, they all want to show that not only on the battlefield, but in each of the small battles and wars that we have inside our businesses, we can also win. We can also achieve incredible results. And this is like a point. Okay, I was not on the battlefield, but I can return back after the victory and show the same results inside my business. And if everyone will continue in such a way, and for me, this is the goal, the purpose, that after this victory, we can also return back to Ukraine, enlarge our operations. I'm now speaking with new doctors, with new clinical research sites, medical institutions, which would be interested, for example, to start these operations with clinical researchers who haven't got any experience before, but they might be the part of this network, the network of clinical research industry. And at the end, we need these projects, we need some trials that will come, that we will fulfill, and give patients access to innovative medicines, give them free medical care, free drugs, and in the end, to enlarge our capabilities inside Ukraine, only in such a way.
I find that motivating, inspirational, and I wish you all the best of luck and Godspeed with your endeavors, and especially Ukraine as a whole. I know you guys are, or I know Ukraine is going to be victorious, and Like you said, good is going to win in the end. And, I'm sorry. I think I can speak for all Americans, pretty much the world, when I say I'm sorry that you have to endure this. But ultimately, like you just said, you're going to come out on top, and going to come out stronger than you were before because of the trials you've had to face. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, Dr. Anna. But all my guests, I surprise them at the very end of each episode, and I ask them to give one final word of wisdom, and I preface that with what it means to lead like a champion. So, what advice, what final word of wisdom would you give someone listening to you right now? What does it mean to lead like a champion?
Also, like one of the phrases, I don't know who said it, but yeah, better to aim into perfect and not hit than to aim into imperfect and hit. Believe in great ideas, believe in unbelievable results. Put this level of achievement that seems sometimes is not possible to achieve at all. And at the end of the day, you will see that everything is possible. Just you need to believe in yourself, believe in people around you, to find these people with the same level of values, with the same understanding of your understanding of what you are doing. At the end, you will achieve this definitely, maybe with some problems, with some failures, with some mistakes, but it will bring you incredible results.
Absolutely. I love it. And that's actually kind of something I was talking to one of my friends about this morning before we got on to record, and that's failing forward. You always want to fail forward, and far too often we see failure as a roadblock or something stopping us from success, when if you fail forward, your failure is actually propelling you towards your success. So I absolutely agree with you. I think that's remarkable. So, Dr. Anna, people want to get a hold of you or learn more about you. Where can they go to find you?
You will have my LinkedIn profile where everyone can reach me and to contact with any proposals, with any ideas, thoughts.
Fantastic. And yes, I will make sure I have your links in the show notes and in the bios. And Dr. Anna, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for coming on the show with me today and sharing your experience and your wisdom. I truly appreciate it. And I know my listeners are going to be appreciative as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Anna.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me with you. And I believe that we may repeat and speak about next steps, about next activities in Ukraine, in the medical field as well.
Absolutely. I look forward to that. All right, everybody, that wraps up this week's episode of the Renowned Leadership Podcast. Again, thank you so much for listening to me and putting up with my show. I always appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, give me comments, feedback, whatever it is. I appreciate it. That's what drives me. And as always, everybody, always remember, lead like a champion. We'll see you next week. Goodbye. Thank you so much for joining this week's podcast. And don't forget that if you're ready to unlock your full potential and skyrocket your career, I specialize in empowering ambitious professionals like you to fast track their careers and achieve extraordinary success. No matter if you want rapid advancement in your current role or a seamless transition to a different industry altogether, I'm here to be your trusted guide. Now is the time to break free from the limitations that are holding you back and embrace the extraordinary. Never settle for mediocrity. Claim your spot today. Start with a complimentary session by visiting renownedleadership.com and clicking the Book Now button, or following the link in the podcast description below. Accelerate your career, embrace your true potential, and become the influential leader you are destined to be. Remember, success favors those who take decisive action and lead like a champion. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap this up for this week. I hope you love listening to Dr. Anna. She's a pretty amazing person, just all her achievements in her life, in her young life, and just how hard she's fought to get to where she is, maintain what she has, and keep the optimism. I apologize for not being able to talk. Keep her optimism up through what's going on in Ukraine right now. So make sure you follow her, hit her up on LinkedIn, and show her tons and tons of love. All her links to all her stuff are going to be in the show notes and in the bios and in the descriptions, whatever platform you're looking at this on. So again, thank you for joining the Renowned Leadership Podcast. I am Stephen Morris. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us some comments. And I will see you all next week. And don't forget, everybody, lead like a champion. Bye.